Okay, so we'll get started on number 6. Okay, number 7, sorry. Okay, so in order to, I'll start from the beginning. In order to live the happy life, the first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to change ourselves. We have to change how we think of things, and I mentioned that earlier. The good, the bad. We have to change what we value and what we pursue. For us, that's going to be all those material things. And obviously, we have to consider good and bad. The Stoics want us to understand that good, bad, these material things, they don't actually advantage or deprive us. They're really just things that are really indifferent to us. And we have to start thinking about something that is really of true value to us. So we have to start thinking about what really is the good. And they're going to say the only good thing is virtue or virtuous behavior. The only evil is vice and actions motivated by vice. And again, we're going to kind of borrow anything that's in excess or deficiency is going to be a vice. If we talk about pleasure and we talk about wealth, if you have someone who pursues this, they're pursuing things that are contrary to nature. Pleasure, wealth, honor, reputation. Remember, Epicurus put those into the third category, the unnatural and the unnecessary. The Stoics are going to say pretty much the same thing. They're just advantages that we use to become virtuous, not to become rich. But they don't benefit us in all circumstances. So our wealth may be wonderful, but if we get sick, it's of no use to us. Maybe, I know, the diehards are going to tell me, yes, I can use my money to go to the hospital, but what if it's fatal? What if there's no cure for what you have? Then your money does you no good. So it doesn't benefit you in every situation. And virtue is the only thing that you're going to be able to keep forever. So you might as well work on that and then use those advantages that you have wisely. And the reason that you are unhappy is certainly your problem with virtue. You don't understand that virtue is always beneficial. It's the only good thing, and that's borrowed from Plato. But the person who has virtue is happy. And I know the diehards again are going to tell me, this is not going to work because our lives are about, money, and money can make you happy. And yeah, the Stoics don't believe that. And there are good reasons why they don't. They're going to say happiness for them is not a material thing. It's not a temporary thing. It's like Aristotle says, it's something that we're working for. It is the end. It's not a material thing, but it's the end. It's that thing that we are content with. It's not a temporal or exuberant feeling. It's something that's very stable. It's something that's enduring. It persists and it's pervasive throughout your whole life. If you really get happiness, you can be happy in any circumstance, even when tragic things happen to you. And I don't think that many people can say that. So they're promising you, remember, immunity from harm. And they're saying this is what's going to give you excellence of character. For excellence in character, you have to understand those things. Remember, those external things are not in our power, but you have to understand what you have power over. And since external things are not in our power, if we put our happiness in external things, pleasure, wealth, fame, those are bound to disappoint us. So character is in our power. We can shape it. We can control it. We don't necessarily have a free will, but we do have power over our will. So what's in our power? We do have authority over ourselves, the way that we can conduct ourselves. The way that we judge what is good and evil is certainly in our power. We can adapt ourselves to the things that come along. That's within our power. And we have power over our own minds. And I unfortunately think that currently we don't believe that we have power over our own minds. And it certainly is a lot easier to give other people power over our minds and to say, I didn't know, or to say, my behavior was really, as Aristotle said, we like to abort responsibility and say, well, I didn't know, and it was involuntary, and I was coerced to do it. but we really know we're just kind of fudging. But we do have power over our own minds. And we need to make proper use of impressions. But first, we need to know what impressions are. And impressions are simply to be aware of what is in the world. Whatever the information, sensory data that we take in, those are our impressions. But we also have to have proper impressions. We first are aware of them, and then we take them in and we make judgments about them. Some philosophers will say, no, simply it just comes in and there's nothing we can do about it. But the Stoics believe that you have the apparatus to then make judgments about them, and that seems appropriate. When you put an oar in the water, it looks bent, you take it out, it looks straight, it looks put in the water, it looks bent. You don't simply say, when I put the oar in the water, it's bent, and when I take it out, it's straight. You take in the impression, and then you make a judgment about it. Wow, it just seems to be an illusion, and you think about it, you discriminate. So I know that we don't like to make judgments, but this is the business where we do make judgments. Everybody does. We have to. And happiness depends on judging things properly. You have to do this right. When someone cuts you off, immediately you take in that impression and we think, oh my goodness, they cut me off. How dare they? They're so mean. We make all these judgments about it. But really, when we cut somebody off, why do we cut them off? We are probably unaware. We're in a hurry. We have reasons why we're doing it, but our impression of other people and the things around us are certainly different. The Stoics say what disturbs men is not the impression, but rather the judgment they make about it or regarding it. And I will stop there. I don't want to make these too big.